So we're looking at micro lesson number 9, which is Surya Namaskar or Sun Salutation. So in this micro lesson, we're giving you 3 different options for how you want to be teaching Surya Namaskar. Basically because some people find it very difficult to be teaching in English, and Surya Namaskar is one of the bigger micro lessons to do. There's a lot of information and a lot of things to talk about. So we do have some easier options if you choose to. So we'll go through those options. So the first one you see is where we give instructions and a detailed description of each stage of Surya Namaskar, but we don't add the breathing instructions. So instead we just get the students to breathe normally. So it's just one less aspect that you need to be teaching in Surya Namaskar. And the second option is instructing Surya Namaskar with breathing and counts only, so with no description at all. So that's a very simple one to do. And the last one, which is the one that we recommend that you do, is where you're going to give an explanation of each stage of Surya Namaskar with the breathing instructions. So if you do this option, it will mean that you've got the experience of teaching the positions, but you're also learning how to teach the breathing instructions. So both of those techniques are really important to be able to do at some point. So that's what we would recommend that you choose to do for this micro lesson. So now looking at the points. So the first one is you're going to give an introduction about Surya Namaskar and a little explanation about that. So here talking about how it's a chain of different asanas, you're using breath, there's mantra, you can talk about the surrendering aspect towards the sun, the power of the sun. You can talk about how it can be practiced as a form of yoga, but it can also be done as a form of exercise. You can talk about the benefits. You can talk about how it's used as a warm-up practice and all the effects that it has on the body. So there's a lot of things to talk about there. Here, this next one is you can explain the stages briefly with counts. I find the easiest option to give the explanation is with the demonstration, because there's a lot of steps involved and it can be quite confusing when you're not seeing a demonstration. So linking it up with the demonstration is the easiest option. So you're going to give 2 demonstrations, so one from each angle. Here you'll see if you're doing option 3, then first demonstrate with instructions only, and on the second demonstration you can demonstrate just the breathing. And it's the same for when you get them to practice it. So first round of the demonstration of Surya Namaskar, you're going to talk a little bit more about the position, how each position should be. You can talk about the do's and don'ts of each of the positions, and anything else that you want to be adding. You might need to give some variations for certain poses. And then the second round, you're going to incorporate the breathing. So that will be a much faster demonstration because you won't be holding each of the positions. When you're giving a lot of detailed description, you will be holding each position for a little bit longer period of time. So 2-time demonstration, then you're going to explain the precautions. And as we know, it's always important to give the precautions before you get the students to practice. So next you're going to be giving instructions for the practice of Surya Namaskar. So first you're going to chant one of the mantras and you're going to ask them to repeat the mantra after you. Then you're going to explain the stage or the breath, depending on which option you've chosen, and then you're going to give the count. So for example, what I would do is say, inhale, namaskar position 1, exhaling, bending forward 2, inhaling, half cobra position 3. So telling them what to do with the breath is important. So saying that first is very helpful, and then getting them to do the position so they know what kind of position it is, and then when you give the count, they actually come into the position. This is actually most helpful for the second round. For the first round, you can just talk about each of the positions. So it might be that you say, okay, hands are in namaskar, shoulders are relaxed, spine is upright, and we're putting equal pressure on either foot and feeling that pressure against the thumbs on your sternum, the base of your thumbs against the sternum. 1. And then you'll say, slowly, we're bending forward, trying to touch our toes or as close as we can get to, breathing normally, keeping our legs straight. 2. So that's the kind of thing you can do for the first round. Basically, it's not so specific when you're not giving the breathing instructions, but when you do start involving the breath, then you want to make sure that you're saying things very succinctly, and you're making sure that you're giving the count so that they can move into it when you say that count. So let's see, if doing the third option, then get your students to first practice with only the instructions, as I mentioned, then practice with the breathing and instructions the second time, correcting the stages as and when required. It's very hard to give corrections when your students are doing the Surya Namaskar. For the first round, it's a little easier because you're getting them to breathe normally, so you can go into a little bit more detail, but you've still got to remember that they're new to Surya Namaskar, so they can't hold the positions for too long. And for the second round, when you're involving the breathing, of course, you can't go and stop everything to go and correct them when they're flowing with the breath. So I find the most helpful thing to do for Surya Namaskar when people are making mistakes is after doing one round, I'll say, okay, I've noticed that some of you, when you're doing plank position, you're lifting your bottoms up really high like downward dog. So this time when we do it, let's remember to try to have our body in a straight line. So that kind of correction really works quite well for things like Surya Namaskar. And the last point here, the student should practice Surya Namaskar twice. So we already know that. The first round you're going to be giving the description. The second round you're going to add in the breath. So this is micro lesson number 9, Surya Namaskar. Looking at the checklist. So the first point is making sure you have a nice introduction and you briefly explain about the practice. So talking about the series of different asanas with the breath and the mantra and so on. Then you're going to talk about the benefits of Surya Namaskar, then demonstration from 2 different angles, and you can talk about do's and don'ts in that. You can add in any kind of variations. From there, you're going to talk on precautions, and then you're going to get the students to practice. So remember, we've got 3 options, though we do recommend that you go for the last option. So in your instructions, you're going to be talking about the position. So you want to give enough description about the position for it to be nice and clear. You're going to give the breathing instructions. So for the first round, it's just normal breathing, but for the second round, you can add in the breathing for each position. Then we've got the counts for each step. So it's very helpful to use counts in Surya Namaskar, because if you want to do, say, 12 rounds of Surya Namaskar and you're not using counting, it's a lot of talking for you as a teacher that you have to keep saying every position and the breath, when eventually, if they've been practicing it for a while, you can slowly cut down. So you only need to say the pose and the breath and the count. Then eventually you only need the breath and the count. And then when they're very used to the breathing, you just have the counts. So it's a lot less talking. Then you're going to take the practice twice, giving any corrections as needed. And then we've got the aspects about your voice. So you want to make sure that it's peaceful, relaxed, that you're confident, and also that your body language is suitable for what you're teaching. So this is micro lesson 9 checklist. Now we'll see a demonstration of this micro lesson. Carry on. So today we're going to do micro lesson number 9, which is teaching of Surya Namaskar. So surya means the sun and namaskar means salute or salutation. So sun salutations. It's a very, very popular practice to do, and it is a practice that you'll see in India all over the country, but it can be done in all different kinds of ways. So some have 10 steps, some have 12, some have 14, some are different again. So we're going to be doing the 10-step practice. Now what it is a series of different asanas linked together, and they're linked with the breath. There is also mantras involved, so it's a very holistic practice, and it can be done as a way of exercise. So someone might decide that instead of doing their running or their swimming, they want to do surya namaskar today, and they'll do many, many rounds. So maybe for half an hour or 1 hour just of surya namaskar in a fast manner. So that's a really good cardio workout. Or we can do it slowly, so we can practice it as asana. So we may do the whole series over a longer period of time, holding each position for 20, 30 seconds, even a minute for each pose. What's most commonly practiced for surya namaskar is it done as a warm-up. So we do it as a warm-up before we move into other kinds of asanas. It's very helpful for improving the circulation, and it helps to lubricate all of the joints in preparation for different types of asanas. Now, why is it called surya namaskar? So surya means the sun, and this practice helps to stimulate the pingala nadi or surya nadi, which helps to increase our energy, and that's very helpful for us in the mornings, especially if we want to do surya namaskar to make us feel energized and vitalized. And it's also a way of connecting with the sun and giving surrender or salutations to the sun for all the energy that it gives us and the energy that comes from the sun that sustains life on this planet. So it's a very nice practice to do. It works on all the different body systems in different ways. It can help the reproductive system. It helps for digestion, especially because it stimulates surya nadi. So if you've got really poor digestion, it will help to improve that. Then it's also helpful for strengthening of the lungs, and it's also helpful for the endocrine system, so for helping to balance the hormones. It's also good for the lymphatic system, so it does have a lot of different benefits. It's also known as a kind of detoxification practice, and it can help to clear the energy pathways in the body, which is helpful to allow the energy to flow more freely. So there's a lot of additional benefits onto that, but I don't want to overload you here, so we'll look at a demonstration of the practice of surya namaskar. So we'll start in a namaskar position. So bring your feet together at the front of your mat. I'm just showing you the side so you get an understanding. And our feet are together, our hands in namaskar. You can see my thumbs a little away from my index fingers, like a 90 degrees, and pressing the root of the thumb against the sternum. Shoulders are relaxed, spine is upright, head is upright, chest is open. And in this position, I want to make sure I'm putting equal pressure onto either side of my body, onto my feet. And with my feet, I want to make sure that I'm not putting more pressure on the front or more pressure on the back. It should be equal. And you can, imagine that you've got that string going through your body, which is lifting you up. So that will try to improve your posture and keep you upright. So this is position number 1. So from here, I'm going to show you the next movements. So from namaskar position 1, we slowly bend forward and trying to bend from your hips, your lower back, as much as you can. Try to keep your chest open for as long as you can. At some point you will start hunching and then placing your hands onto the ground, or if you can't do that, the fingertips onto the ground, or you might be relaxing your arms like this, or you might have your hands on your shins. Okay. Whatever is comfortable for you to do. We want to make sure that the legs are going to stay straight, so we don't want to be bending the knees so that we can put our hands on the ground, because we won't get that benefit of the stretching of the calves and the hamstrings. So wherever you can comfortably get to, from here we're going to bring one leg back into the half cobra position. So this is number 3. So here you can have your fingertips or your palms down. Make sure that you're pressing your pelvis downwards, your toes tucked under, your chest is open and you're looking forward. For some people it might be more comfortable to come up onto your fingertips so that you can open your chest a little bit more. So whatever works for you. And your hands are on either side of your foot. Okay, so this is number 3, we're breathing normally. Now we're going to move into the plank position. So bringing the other foot behind and our body is in a straight line and we're looking forward. So here we don't want to lift our bottom up like a downward dog. We don't want to lower our pelvis down into a cobra. We want to stay in our plank position. So our feet are next to each other, our hands underneath our shoulders, looking forward. Now moving into Ashtanga number 5. So knees on the ground, our chest goes between our hands and our forehead on the ground. If you can't have your forehead, have your chin. But if you can have your forehead, you're having that pressure against which is having an effect on your pituitary. Okay, this is number 5. We're moving to number 6. So lowering your pelvis down, coming up into cobra. So number 6. So having your arms straight, relax your shoulders, looking forward or looking up. If it's difficult to have your arms straight, remember you can bend your elbows. Breathing normally. From here, we're going to move into number 7. So your toes stay tucked under, downward dog. So in downward dog position, you're trying to bring your heels down towards the mat. You're trying to lift your bottom upward and lengthen your spine. You are trying to bring your chin towards your chest and your forehead downwards. We're breathing normally here. And we'll move into number 8. So we bring our leg forward into the half cobra. So again, our foot is between our hands. If it's difficult to get your foot all the way, then take another step again. For many people who are new, their foot will be back here. It will take time. Okay, again, looking forward, opening your chest, pressing your pelvis down, breathing normally, and we'll move into the forward bend. So bringing your left foot next to your right, straightening your legs, place your hands on the ground or your fingertips or wherever it's comfortable to go. Okay? And then moving to number 10, namaskar. So back to our original position where our hands are pressed against our sternum. So this is the series of Surya Namaskar. We'll see it one more time, but this time I'll add in the breathing. In the first round we were just doing the normal breathing. So from a different angle. So starting in Namaskar position, number 1. We inhale, 1. Exhale, bending forwards. 2. Inhaling half cobra. 3. Holding the breath, plank position. 4. Exhaling Ashtanga. 5. Inhale Cobra. 6. Exhaling Downward Dog. 7. Inhaling Half Cobra. 8. Exhaling Forward Bend. 9. And inhaling Namaskar. 10. So this is the series of Surya Namaskar. Now before we practice, there are some precautions to Surya Namaskar. Now there are a lot of benefits of practicing, but also there are quite a few things that we need to take care of. So if anyone is having high blood pressure, it should be avoided because it can actually increase the blood pressure. Also if there's any kind of heart problems, anyone who has any recent abdominal surgery, so the last 6 months, because it is quite strong on the abdominal area. Then anyone who has had any major back pain, any strong back pain, a lot of these positions are going to be aggravating the back. So it's better to do another kind of practice to help the back instead of this one. Then those people who do have any kind of pain in their wrists or their knees need to take a lot of care, because we've got the cobra, we've got downward dog, which can irritate the wrists, and also plank position, and also with the knees, because the half cobra position does put a little bit of stress onto the knees. So you do need to take care for these. Then any woman who is pregnant, this kind of Surya Namaskar is not suitable, but there are pregnancy versions of Surya Namaskar that can be done. And also any woman in her first or second day of menstruation, it's better to avoid, especially because there can be a little bit of discomfort of the lower belly during menstruation. So when we're doing Surya Namaskar, the first thing is it is a little bit heating. So if you are having quite a bit of bleeding, it's going to make it a little bit worse. And also that pressure on the lower belly, where you might already be having the uterus spasming, it's not going to make it feel very comfortable. And the other thing is about doing downward dog, which is another inversion. So it's better to do other more gentle practices at that time. And then also people should take care who have a lot of heat related problems. So if someone is having a lot of heartburn, if they're having a lot of headaches or acidity, then it's important not to do too many rounds of Surya Namaskar, because it can be too heating for them. So those are a few things that we need to be taking care of. So let's practice. Okay, so let's take practice now of Surya Namaskar Sun Salutation. So in your standing position, bring your hands together in Namaskar. We're going to start with our mantra. So here you want to press your thumbs against your chest, relax your elbows down, and keep your spine upright. Now repeating after me. Om Ram Mitraya Namaha. Very good. Now from here, we're in the first position, Namaskar. We're slowly going to bend forward and touch our toes. 2. Now bringing one leg back in half cobra. 3. So here, pressing your pelvis down, looking upwards, opening your chest. And now bringing your other leg back into plank. 4. So your body's in a straight line, looking forward. Okay, now coming into Ashtanga. Number 5, so knees on the ground, chest and forehead. Alright, now lowering your pelvis into Cobra. 6, straightening your arms, looking forward, opening your chest, breathing normally. And from here we're going to move into Downward Dog. Number 7, so tuck your toes under, lifting your pelvis up. Very good, try to bring your heels down towards the floor. Okay, normal breathing. Now taking a big step forward into the half cobra. Okay, which is number 8. Very good. Again, try and be stable. Press your pelvis down. Open your chest. Okay, and coming into standing forward bend. Number 9. Touching your toes or as far as you can. Keep your legs straight. And coming up into Namaskar. 10. Okay, so that's one round and we've done the description and we've done the movement. So now we're going to add the breath. So come back to your position. It's going to be a little bit faster, so instead of breathing normally throughout the whole thing, we're going to use the breath. So coming back with your hands in Namaskar, we're going to chant the second mantra. Om Reem Ravaye Namaha. Okay, now Namaskar position, breathing in. 1, exhaling, bending forward. 2, inhaling, half cobra. 3, holding your breath, plank position. 4, exhaling Ashtanga. 5, the chest on the ground. Okay. Inhaling cobra, 6. Exhaling downward dog, 7. Inhaling half cobra, 8. Exhaling forward bend, 9. And inhaling